Hello and welcome to another episode of Top Deck, the series where we take a look at some of the leading TCG deck lists. And today we are taking a look at Severin Furtek's list from the Mega LLDS at the YCS London 2018 event. A really cool list here, which is essentially a Trickstar list with a few techs of Mech Knights. We've got some Floodgates in here, so as per usual we're going to run through the list, go over the siding strategy in the rounds, and then we'll bring on Sev to ask some questions. So let's get into the list then. So triple Candina, double Liko, and one Lilybell. Not maxing out on Liko. I don't think it's entirely necessary, and I think it's probably right of him to just go with the two. Then 2 and 2 of purple and blue, and then one Indigo Eclipse. This just enables you to get those double searches off a little bit more consistently than the typical sort of 4 Mech Knight lineup. For hand traps, triple Ash and triple Droll, that's fairly standard, but then he's playing 2 Ghost Spell and Haunted Mansion as well. Given that this is an event where Thunder Dragons are pretty popular, having that Ghost Spell in the main deck could be pretty useful as well. Then the triple Light Stage, double Terraforming, double Scapegoat, 2 Pot of Desires. This is a little bit interesting. I think a lot of people were taking out Pot of Desires from lists previously, so we'll ask him about this one. Then double Shared Ride, double Call by the Grave, a triple Trickstar Reincarnation, triple Gozen Match, so you can actually summon the Mech Knights and your Trickstars under this, which is really good, and then a double Heavy Storm Duster. So it looks like this list is mostly sort of teched out to beat Thunder Dragons and, majority to beat Sky Striker, I guess, since you've got the Gozen Match and the Heavy Storm Duster in here, but then that little bit of a tech there to deal with Thunder Dragons. So, onto the extra then. 1 Borreload, Borrelsword, Firewall. We've got a Hip Hoshiningen, 1 Cerberus, Phoenix, Unicorn, Link Spider here, Linkaribo, 2 Mrs. Radiant, 1 Ningirsu, just 1 Hayate here, which I don't believe he can summon via the usual way, but we'll see how he brings this out. 1 Trisbana and 1 Holly Angel. So then for the side deck, triple Pankratops, a very generic out to a lot of problems. Triple Kaiju here, going with different names, so you're more likely to be able to just summon them off. And then triple Mind Control, this is pretty interesting. So he can actually steal the opposing Sky Striker monsters, and then he can link with them into his own Hayate, and that allows him to get some extra damage in, as well as the fact that it denies his opponent access to a Ray, so that can actually be really crucial. And then triple Twin Twisters and triple Evenly Matched rounds off the side deck. So let's go on to the siding strategy then. As per usual, we're going to do the looking at the major matchups that you expect to be facing. So we've got the siding strategies here for Pure Striker. So going first, no changes. He's optimized the list in order to deal with that. But going second, he's putting in the Kaiju to shut off the back row there, evenly in order to gain advantage off it. Mind Control, again, he can take the monster and link it off. And then triple Twin Twisters as well, just some extra back row removal. In order to accommodate all of these cards, he's got to take out some of the traps and some of the protection. So he's taking out triple Gozen, double Called, double Shared, the 2 Heavy Storm Duster, and 1 of the Reincarnations. I think it's pretty reasonable to take out 1 of the Reincarnations. We saw a lot of people having it as an easy side-out option at previous events. Then for the Mirror Match, no changes going first. This deck is pretty well equipped for that. But going second, putting in the Pankratops, Twisters, and Evenly, taking out the Gozens, Heavy Storm Dusters, Cool Buy, and the, yeah, that is it, right? 3, 4, 7 there. Taking out the 9, so what is this? This must be the Shared Ride there. And then against Burning Berserker. So going first, he is making some minor changes, so putting in 2 Mind Control and taking out 2 Heavy Storm Duster. That's just because, obviously, the Storm Duster does absolutely nothing in this matchup, and you may as well just play cards that you can use in the following turns, if you can't do anything in the first turn. For going second, putting in the Pankratops again, the Mind Controls, and the Kaiju, you can always link off their Beatrice, which is pretty nice. And then siding out the Dusters still, Shared Rides, obviously they're only going to be adding, really only going to be adding, by drawing, adding back the Seer, I guess, with Dante is another thing that they can do, and maybe M-Face Scar, but not enough to justify Shared Ride in the main. And then taking out 2 of the Gozens and 3 draws, so keeping in 1 of the Gozens actually for this matchup when going second even then. Against Thunder Dragons, again optimized to go first, so no changes needed here. Going second, got to put in the Kaiju's Mind Controls and Evenlies in order to out their multiple monsters. Taking out Gozens caught by Shared Ride and Duster, all those cards, just it's too late for them to put in any work, I think. Paleo, again, still optimized to go first. You've got a lot of spell trap removal or ways of outing problems there. And then going second, again, we have Pancratops, Twisters, and Evenly coming in, so this is sort of like the standard for the back row decks. But he is taking out the Dusters, the Shared Rides, Callbys, in order to deal with them. And finally, we have the Danger Dark World FTK. So no changes going first, because he doesn't have hand traps really to bring in. So going second, he's putting in the Pancratops, Mind Controls, and Evenlies, taking out the Gozen, Shared Rides, Duster, and Callby. Yeah, so he doesn't have any hand traps to side in, so he needs ways to out a board if, say, they can't pull off the FTK, and they've just sort of been reduced to making a board and sitting on it. So he's got ways of dealing with that. So that's it for the siding strategies. On to the rounds then. So round 1, he went up against Sky Striker Trickster and 1-2-1. Round 2 against Danger FTK, he wins again, 2-1 this time. Round 3 against Burning Abyss, once again he wins, going 2-0. Round 4 against Burning Abyss, so still on a winning record, going 2-0 once again, so it looks like he's very strong versus the BA matchup here. Round 5 against Thunder Dragons, a very difficult matchup for him, so he's lost this one 0-2. And then in the final round, once again going against Danger FTK, the deck that everyone really fears, but he won this one by going 2-1 in this match, so very strong record against probably the most powerful, or certainly one of the best decks of the format, and really strong matchups versus the BA too, proving that he can just 2-0 them fairly consistently. So let's bring on Sev and ask him some questions about this list. Alright Sev, so great to have you on board. Why don't you start off by telling us a little bit about the event?
The event was good. I enjoyed it quite a lot, to be honest. The people I played were all really friendly, as they generally are with Yu-Gi-Oh! It was well run, but the time between rounds was really long. But I guess that's to kind of be expected with large events.
And so for this event, why did you choose to play Trickstar?
The reason I chose to play Trickstar is because it's the only meta-relevant deck that I actually own. I also feel very comfortable with the deck after playing it for just under a year. I fell in love with the deck immediately after I started playing it. I just love the way it plays. The addition of the Mech Knight engine gives the deck the extra push that it needs when going for game against some of the harder matchups.
Okay, yeah. So actually looking at the list itself, I think I'll focus a bit more on things that are different, comparing your list to others that we've seen before. So why did you decide to go for a Floodgate build rather than something like the Striker build, or maybe like the full-on
I've tested other builds. Originally I was playing Honest, as you saw in the main event, as well as Ghost Ogre. I decided to cut those for the LLDS as they made me brick quite a lot. In the current meta, Gozen's really good, as it stops Striker, Altergeist, Burning Abyss, as well as the Danger Dark World FTK, as well as hurting Thunder Dragon quite a bit, so I thought this build was optimal for the event. I sadly don't own the Striker engine, so I couldn't have played that. I thought the ratio of 2-2-1 for the Mech Knights was correct as it allowed consistency, but you don't realistically want to draw more than 2 Mech Knights in any hand.
So you've got Ghost Spell in here. How did you find that throughout the event? And also, why did you decide to go with this hand trap lineup in particular?
Ghost Spell was good, to be honest. It made some matchups more playable and allowed me to attempt to OTK Striker Pure through negating Ray in the damage step. As for the other hand traps, 3 Ash is obviously optimal as it's like the jack of all trades, and 3 Droll because I'm playing Trickstar, even though I only resolved the Droll combo once in the whole event, which is kind of sad.
Yeah, that's a bit unfortunate. So previously we've had a lot of Trickstar lists come on the channel, or seen a lot of them in the past, and most of them seem to be cutting Desires, but why did you decide to keep it on for this deck?
I decided not to cut Desires purely for the Thunder Dragon matchup. The draw power is completely necessary, as soon as they put a Colossus on board, Candela basically just becomes an 1800 vanilla normal summon, so it renders my deck completely useless.
So moving on to the side deck then. So I think from the extra deck, the Hip Hoshiningen and the second Mrs. Radiant are probably the sort of most atypical extra deck options here. Why did you decide to go for these ones?
Hip Hoshiningen was especially good as it can be made by normal summoning Candela, adding Lilybell, and then I can link off into it. I can then just set a back row and summon a Mech Knight, allow me to push for more damage. For the second Mrs. Radiant, it was in there for resolving a scapegoat under an already active Gozen. It allows me to put a 4800 damage on board really easily and just, like, I don't know, play under Gozen effectively.
Okay, yeah. So how was Pancratops in the side then?
Pancratops was amazing in the side deck. It really helped in all matchups, aside from Thunder, sadly, which is my worst matchup. Against Striker Pure, I was able to pop set Widow Anchors and other stuff they set off multi-roll, such as Engages, and just try and go for game quickly.
Yeah, sure, okay. So did you feel comfortable with your Thunder Dragon matchup? I know it's one of the hardest matchups for this deck.
Sadly not at all. I completely underestimated how dominant the deck would be in the tournament. It was my only loss in the LLDS.
Yeah, I guess it's one of the harder matchups for you to deal with. What would you say are the hardest and the sort of easiest matchups for this build?
For the easiest matchups, I'd say Altergeist, purely because Light Stage is amazing in this matchup. Going for game early is usually the easiest way to win. The Trickstar Mirror is also pretty easy because the Mech Knights give the extra push for game the deck really needs. And Burning Abyss goes and matches an MVP here as it stops the deck from making Dante and going real plus. For the hardest matchups, Thunder Dragon, as it just completely shuts down the main energy of the deck by making Candela useless. And Striker Pure because unless you OTK them in a couple of turns, it just completely out-resources you and you can't do anything against it.
So in the upcoming format, obviously there are a lot of changes that need to be made, but do you think that you would play this kind of list again in the future? And are there any changes that you'd make with that extra information available in mind? Just thinking about, you know, the kind of decks that we've seen come out of YCS London.
In the future, yeah, I'd like to play this list again, but only if Thunder Dragon became irrelevant. Purely because it's so fun compared to other like Trickstar lists I've tested. Sadly, I don't think I'll be playing it in the near future though, due to just the dominant presence of Thunder in the meta. Some changes I'd make to the deck would be to probably main deck Mind Control like Ping did, and side more outs to Thunder Dragon such as Dimensional Barrier or Forbidden Apothecary.
And finally, are there any shoutouts you'd like to make?
Yeah, I have quite a few shoutouts actually. Firstly, shout out to my team, Team Cobalt, and all of you that came to the event. Also, our sponsor, Warball Games in Bromley, RJ Cards and Supplies, as well as the Horsham Facebook group, Daydream Nation Card Games Facebook group, Korean Yu-Gi-Oh!, Mad for Miniatures, Mum, Dad and the rest of the family, and Ross, Elliot, Baz, Hamish, Frankie, Dan, Ryan, Andre and Stratos, and also get well soon to my man Jonte.
That's it for this video, but before I go, Sev wanted me to include an extra special shout out to Tom for motivating him to keep on playing the deck. Thanks very much for coming on, Sev, and sharing your list. Great to have you onto the channel, and hopefully you'll do well in the future and we can keep on featuring you, and good luck in your next event. Thanks for watching this episode of Top Deck. If you have any comments or suggestions that you would like to make, leave them in the comment section down below. Check out the description for details of how you can get involved in this series. You can enter by voice interview, or instead you could just send all of your information over Facebook Messenger. Anything like that will be absolutely fine. If you want to see anything in particular from the upcoming series, then be sure to get in touch, and I'll see you guys in the next video.